A tale of philosophy, heartbreak, and the wisdom of letting go. It was a cold evening in Nicopolis. The streets, paved with worn cobblestones, glistened from the remnants of the afternoon rain. Merchants packed their wares, the aroma of roasted barley and olives still lingering in the air. Among the city's many homes and alleys, one man walked with a heavy heart, his sandals slapping against the wet stone. His name was Marcus, and his mind was clouded with grief. He had just received word that Julia, the woman he loved, the woman he had imagined spending his life with, had been seen in the arms of another man, a senator's son, no less. He clenched his fists as he walked, his breath uneven. His chest felt as though it had been pierced, and his mind swirled with memories of their time together. The laughter, the long walks by the shore, the whispered promises under the moonlight. Had it all been a lie? He needed answers. But more than that, he needed peace. And so, he found himself at the doorstep of the great Stoic teacher, Epictetus. The Stoic's doorstep, Epictetus, was no stranger to troubled men seeking wisdom. His home was modest, reflecting the teachings he held dear: simplicity, reason, and virtue. As Marcus knocked, he hesitated, unsure if philosophy could truly mend a broken heart. A moment later, the wooden door creaked open, and there stood the philosopher, wrapped in a simple tunic, his expression calm as the sea before dawn. "Ah," Epictetus said, observing Marcus's troubled face. "A man whose soul is in turmoil stands before me." Marcus swallowed hard. "Master, I am lost." Epictetus stepped aside, gesturing for him to enter. The room was dimly lit by oil lamps, their flames flickering like uncertain thoughts. Scrolls lay in neat piles, and a single wooden bench stood beside a small table. Marcus sat, his hands wringing in frustration. "Speak," Epictetus said, as he sat across from him. The weight of betrayal. "My love," Marcus began, his voice shaking. "Julia. She has betrayed me. She is with another, and I do not know how to bear it. I have done nothing but love her, honor her. How could she do this to me?" Epictetus studied the young man's face for a long moment before answering. "And did you believe she was yours?" Marcus frowned. "What do you mean?" "We were together. She was mine, and I was hers." Epictetus smiled faintly. "Ah, a common illusion. Tell me, if you pick up a handful of water from the river, do you expect it to stay in your grasp forever?" Marcus shook his head. "That would be foolish. Water flows." "And so do people," Epictetus said. "Nothing in this world is truly ours. Everything is borrowed, for a time. Love, wealth, even the body we inhabit. All these things are not within our control. And what is not in our control, we must not allow to master us." "But I loved her," Marcus protested. "I gave her my heart." Epictetus nodded. "Then love her still. But love her as the gods love the world, not with possession, but with understanding. She has made a choice. Does your anger change that choice?" Marcus lowered his gaze. "No." "Then why torment yourself with what is outside your command?" "The illusion of control." Marcus clenched his jaw. "So I should simply accept it? Accept that I was not enough? That I was replaced as if I were nothing?" Epictetus leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm. "Do you believe you were replaced? Or is it that Julia has chosen a different path, as is her right? Would you wish to force her to love you?" Marcus shook his head. I only wish she had remained true." "But she did remain true," Epictetus replied. "True to herself. If her heart led her elsewhere, would you wish her to stay only out of obligation? Is that love?" Marcus exhaled slowly. "No, it is not." "Then what remains for you to do?" Epictetus asked. letting go with grace. Marcus sat in silence for a long time. His mind resisted the words, but his heart recognized their truth. He could not control Julia. He could not change the past. What he could control was his own response. "I must accept," he whispered. Epictetus nodded. "Good. And what else?" "I must not allow this to consume me. I must move forward, as the river does." "Indeed. But more than that, you must learn. What has this suffering taught you?" Marcus thought deeply. That love cannot be possessed. That to suffer over what is not mine to command is foolishness. That I must not let my happiness be held hostage by another's actions. Epictetus smiled. "Now you begin to understand." Marcus sighed. "It still hurts." Epictetus stood and walked to the shelf, retrieving a small clay cup. He poured a measure of water into it and held it out. "Take this cup and walk outside with it." Marcus, confused, took the cup and stepped out into the night air. The stars shone above, and the distant sound of the sea reached his ears. "Now," Epictetus said, "throw the water into the wind." Marcus hesitated, then did as he was told. The droplets caught the moonlight as they scattered, vanishing into the air. Epictetus looked at him. "Tell me, where is the water now?" "Gone," Marcus replied. "Was it ever truly yours?" Marcus understood. He turned back to the house, breathing deeply. It was never mine to keep. The path ahead. In the days that followed, Marcus still felt pain, but it was no longer a prison. He understood that clinging to resentment would only shackle him to the past. Instead, he chose to live as a Stoic, focusing on what he could control, accepting what he could not, and finding peace in the nature of things. One evening, he saw Julia again, walking arm in arm with her new lover. But instead of bitterness, Marcus simply nodded in acknowledgement. She had made her choice, and he had made his. He walked past them, toward the sea, where the waves, as always, rolled forward, neither clinging to the shore nor resisting the tide. For he, too, was free.